What's happening, guys? Coast to Coast Studios. I'm your host for Behind the Grams, where we jump into some of the stories and motivations and inspirations behind what us creators and artists are doing. Today we have breaking news. Unfortunately, Mac Miller has passed away this morning, and looking at his last post, it was a dope picture and inspired me. I seen a tag that the photographer was tagged. I searched the photographer and wanted to reach out. I wanted to hear the story. I know he was the last one to probably photograph him, so we're gonna jump in here to the Skype session and just hear the story behind it. I hope that you guys enjoy this, and I hope that it really inspires you guys to take the right road and use his music as inspiration. Here we go. So your name is Christian Felber?
Yeah, Christaan, yeah.
Oh, Christaan Felber, awesome. My name is Travis Buzzle. I'm owner of Coast to Coast Studios. I see you're located in New York City?
Yeah, Brooklyn, yeah.
Nice. Tell me, let's dig. So I have a show called Behind the Grams where we dig into the stories, motivations, and inspirations behind people's Instagrams. And I saw, unfortunately, that Mac Miller passed away this morning. I seen his last picture. I seen that you took.
Yeah.
And I followed your link, and it really inspired me to kind of get your background. So let's start with your background. Where did you start, and how did you get to where you are today?
I started taking photographs when I was 14 or 15. I've always been involved in music and going to shows, so that's kind of where I found my interest, is that sort of intersection between music and photography.
Okay.
So I wound up going to school for it, assisting for a while when I got to New York. And then basically, jumped right in. I became good friends with the band The Vaccines, and that was kind of my first foray into music. Got in with Red Bull Records, went on tour with The Vaccines.
Awesome.
I got an agent, which always helps. Started shooting for Rolling Stone, New Yorker, New York Times Magazine. It just kind of organically went from there. So this thing for Mac was an assignment for Vulture, which is essentially a subsidiary of New York Magazine.
Nice. So when did you shoot that photograph or series of photographs?
That was, I guess, about a week ago. But we've been sort of going back and forth because I know Mac wanted to use them for social media, and I was just kind of going back and forth because there's a kind of an embargo period with the magazine where you're not allowed to give it to anyone else, especially before it's released. So the second it was released on Vulture, which was yesterday morning, I texted his publicist and let him know that they were up, and we kind of had this conversation about what he wanted, and he asked for a couple photos, so I sent them over to him, and he posted them yesterday. Which is so bizarre.
Awesome. I'm sure for you it's a bit of a life-changing and eye-opener, I can imagine.
It's weird. It's definitely, especially when it's the last photo that you've ever taken of someone. I've never quite had that happen before, so it's definitely a unique experience.
Absolutely. My condolences go out to you and all the Mac Miller fans out there. I do have to ask, did you see anything going on with him when you were shooting?
Not really. He was definitely all over the place. He just seemed like a goofy, disorganized guy. But I think that's just his personality.
A lot of us are,
Yeah, totally. And I think especially, when you're a musician so young, it's you have a lot of tour managers and who just kind of take care of you. And I think that was sort of the relationship it seemed between him and his publicist. She really watched out for him, and he was just super forgetful. I think he lost his passport. He told me he's lost $100,000 in Rolexes or something. I was Jesus, all right, cool.
You want to come hang out later? Maybe leave one at my house.
He was just seriously. He was just seriously the nicest guy, super goofy. I guess really goofy photos of him with a lampshade on his head, and it was totally his idea. Usually I have to push people into doing things.
Yeah.
And he was just a total goofball, and it was really fun. It was just very natural to hang out with him, and you just felt like a friend immediately.
That's awesome. Heck yeah. Did you? What was kind of one of the biggest memories of that last shoot?
We were in this hotel room just goofing around and just trying to come up with ideas. He was just game for anything, which is again so rare, especially for someone of that stature, and especially in the rap game, you find a lot of people who had, I mean, not to generalize, but I feel like, especially with celebrities and rap culture, you tend to have a lot of people who take themselves super seriously.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that case at all for him, which was just really refreshing. Like, it's just nice, you can just relate to him, and you're like, oh, you're just like a guy. Like, it's weird.
Absolutely.
And it was fun. And just goofing around, we accidentally broke some glasses on the floor. You can actually see the photo. There's all this broken glass on the floor.
Yeah.
And he just thinks, yeah, I just didn't really care. Like, he cared about what he cared about. He cared about his music, and everything else was just sort of like, whatever. And I kind of admire that, like, fuck it sort of attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked with a lot of celebrities, and when you meet these people, you really do realize that underneath this publicity and fame, they're just regular people,
Of course, and I think that's like the only way to approach a shoot. I think it's like, whether you're condescending, I think that's a terrible way to go in it, or if you put someone on a pedestal, I think that either way is a mistake. And it's like, I mean, even just in everyday life,
it's going to make them feel uncomfortable, more or less.
Yeah, it's just about, like, because I think even like as a celebrity, it's like, I'm sure like a lot of people, it feels like refreshing to like have an interaction that doesn't feel like you have a bunch of like sycophants around you, just a bunch of like yes men just doing everything. And I think it's nice when it's just like someone who's relatable. And especially, I really honestly, like, I don't know a lot about Mac. Like, I just listened to his music like a day before the shoot.
Yeah, for sure.
So for me, it was cool. It was like, this is the guy. And sometimes it's better to go into those shoots not knowing a ton about them.
I agree very much. Absolutely. If you could say one thing to the viewers maybe watching this video to inspire them, what would you say?
I think it's just I would say be curious. Like, in terms of photography, I think that's like one of the biggest things. It's just like having a sense of curiosity to the thing about, like, the cool thing about photography is that it allows you into worlds that you wouldn't ordinarily be.
Absolutely.
Like, I wouldn't ordinarily be in the Bowery Hotel hanging Mac Miller, but because of the publication, as well as the fact that I've gotten established, like, I was able to do that. And it's like, it's kind of a superpower sometimes. It can be a deficit as well, but in a lot of cases it can give you amazing access. And also just about like being human and just like having that like genuine human interaction. I think that you get like much more honest, authentic photographs if you're just like on the same level as we were talking about before.
Absolutely. I've started to ask every one of my viewers this: what is your perception to live life to the fullest?
Perception. I mean, I think it's just like, I think every experience is ultimately a good experience, and to be open to everything. I mean, and getting photography for me is just a way to document each of those experiences, and even negative experiences. Those are things that we kind of label, But I mean, even with like a so-called negative experience, it's still an experience. You can still pull something positive out of it, and there's information. And sometimes like failures or supposed negative outcomes, you can often find information in there to make things better and to learn something from it. I think that's the ultimate. Regardless, it's an experience, and it kind of keeps shaping you. As you go through life, you're constantly being shaped into something different and constantly molded. And it can be scary, but it can also be really fun if you're like open to that process.
I very much agree. I'd like to open this section up to you to just invite. I have a challenge where I have my guests challenge 3 of their friends or 3 of their inspirations or anybody to come on the show and share their story. So who would you like to see on the show?
Well, good question. I mean, I'm pretty new to your show.
Okay.
Who do you typically? I mean,
So I
obviously
do-
photographers, but who do you typically?
I do photographers, videographers, business owners, entrepreneurs. I really don't like to minimize it to anybody. I like it to be a story of anybody with a passion chasing their dream.
Okay. Let me think about that. Well, I got a good friend who he's an amazing photographer, and I love him to death. And he's been changing the photo game since we got out of college. His name is Pari Dukovic.
Okay.
It's incredible.
Awesome. What's his IG tag?
What's that?
What's his Instagram handle?
I think it's at Pari Dukovic. I'm pretty sure. I mean,
Okay.
he was a under contract to New Yorker, just a super talented, super amazing guy. Shit, I'm on the spot trying to think. Let's see. There's another good buddy of mine who makes amazing films. He's a director, videographer. He's amazing. His name's Andre. I'll give you his handle. Sorry, I just gotta look it up.
No, you're good.
Let's see here. It's crazy. My Instagram's like blowing up. I'm not used to this. It's like, it's kind of insane. So it's Andre, spelled Andree, and his last name is Ljutica, and he's amazing. He's like a great painter, great director. I think we're going to work on something soon. Hopefully, we're going to collaborate.
Awesome.
But really, really good dude. Then the third, I got a friend who he used to be in a band called Asobi Sexu, which was a kind of a shoegaze dream, like a dream pop band from Brooklyn. They were actually the first band I ever photographed.
Nice.
And they broke up, but he's starting his new thing, and his new band is called Kempt, which is spelled Kempt, and he's an awesome musician, great dude. They're making some headway in the music game. Just good people. So that's who I'd recommend.
Heck yeah, awesome. I'll have you send me the links and we'll link them below. Real quick, I'm just gonna screen grab my phone real quick, and I'm going to show everybody kind of where this Mac Miller, how I came across you. So I came onto the page when I heard the news. I came to his last photo, and I seen Chris. How do you pronounce it?
Christaan
Felber.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah. So I seen that you did. What do you feel your style is?
My style?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's sort of like taking like it sort of has a documentary spin. I mean, I think that's kind of where I come from.
Yeah.
Is a documentary style, and incorporating that either into advertising or editorial. I mean, even portraiture, I like to just keep it as realistic as possible. It's naturally lit. The colors are pretty natural, like relatively muted. I typically like to shoot the film when I can.
Mm-hmm.
So very traditional reportage, but also taking that aesthetic and putting it into different
Absolutely. Absolutely. Looking at this third photo, the one that Mac last posted, what was the meaning kind of behind this? Because I feel like
he's on the bull?
No, he's like this.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like that now that this has occurred,
dude, it's so
that
weird.
photo can really speak emotions to a lot of people.
Well, he's like a pretty shy guy. You know, I mean, he can be super goofy and outgoing, but he's also very like, he's very like sensitive about how he looks and a little insecure. And he would do that every so often. And I think that's part of the thing when you're taking photographs. It's like, you see someone in a pose, you go like this, and it just naturally comes out. And you go, wait, hold that. I need you to do that again. Yeah. And so I think it was something that he like naturally did. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. I love his tattoos. He just has incredible tattoos. And it's just so much about him. Like, especially before all of this, with all of like the crazy paparazzi and, all this like TMZ bullshit and like dealing with that. And I felt like that was the perfect place for that. I mean, it speaks volumes. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we're good.
So I think it was one of those things that sort of happened organic, like he was doing it, and I was like, that's beautiful. Like for me, it just felt really natural, and I was like, please hold that. I was actually surprised that Vulture didn't pick that as one of their first choices during the initial publication, but they chose it now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful image. And the last one that you have on your page of him just kind of leaning over in the chair, what was just kind of the same thing? You just like the pose, like the lighting, and went with it?
I mean, it was naturally lit. That was in Bowery Ballroom, or not Bowery Ballroom, Bowery Hotel. And I kind of liked the, like he's kind of a rough around the edges looking guy, you know? And it was just funny seeing him in this like very classical chair with like a doily on the back.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like such a contradiction.
Yeah.
I was like, this is kind of hilarious and weird, but kind of captures his personality, and that I think there's a lot of contradictions in his personality.
Absolutely.
And it was just beautifully lit, and I'm a sucker for beautiful window light that was soft, and he was just leaning forward, and I was like, again, it was just natural. I was just like, hold that, just don't move, and like look at me.
Absolutely.
And just took the shot.
Heck yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time for kind of just telling the story, and I look forward to maybe meeting up with you and working with you in the future.
Totally, yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks for reaching out, honestly.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you as well. We'll chat with you later. Awesome. I'm Travis Buzzle, Coast to Coast Studios, your host for Behind the Grams. So we got a little bit of the backstory on the last photo shoot that Mac Miller did with the publication Vulture, and that's kind of the story behind it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that you guys can pull some sort of inspiration and motivation out of this video. Again, I'm Coast to Coast Studios, your host for Behind the Grams, where we jump into some of the stories and motivations and inspirations behind what we're doing as content creators, business owners, entrepreneurs, anybody in general chasing a dream. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to follow the links below. And again, my condolences out to the Mac Miller family. Thank you.